I think we've all known Michael Burry for a good part of our investing career. Yes, he successfully predicted the housing market crash in 2008 and profited crazily from the whole episode, and even had a whole film dedicated to his story titled The Big Short. That said, like Elon Musk puts it, even a broken clock is right twice a day, and many of all these famed investors will soon be right after their repeated super bubble warning. So Burry put out a tweet back in June of 2021 stating, "People always ask me what is going on in the markets today. It is simple, greatest speculative bubble of all time in all things by 2 orders of magnitude. Hashtag FlyingPigs360. In retrospect, as the market is on track to record one of its worst performing year in history, it might seem as if Burry is onto something, isn't it? Of course, we should never confer a godlike status to anyone, not even Warren Buffett. Because if that's the case, then we will lose all rationality and just trust whatever he or she says. So instead, we should probably look at all their claims on an independent basis. The only thing you should trust totally is when I tell you to smash the like button. You won't regret it. Trust me, bro. Oh, I have good news by the way. So Weibo has recently extended their latest sign-up bonus rewards of up to $130 worth of Tesla shares for new users until the 14th of October. So all you have to do is to sign up for a new account with the link below and deposit at least 2,000 Singapore dollars and execute one buy trade for a stock or ETF and one option. And you will get an 8% return on investment from the sign-up rewards. So Weibo prides itself on zero commission trading, so let's stop paying all the different commissions and use it to buy more Alibaba. For existing users though, feel free to get your friends to sign up using your own referral code. You can refer and win up to $6,888 worth of Apple shares. Details will be on the promotion page itself. I'm currently using Weibo for my 15,000 portfolio challenge, so don't let this guaranteed deal get away. Link in the description below. Now, Burry went on to provide a very gloomy outlook for the US equities market back in early April, where we were experiencing some sort of a relief rally, and I quote, "The silliness is back. After 1929, after 1968, after 2000, after 2008, the strain of silliness that transformed bulls into bubbles completely and utterly disappeared. But that familiar COVID-era silliness is not dead yet. Like 2001, before Enron, before 9/11, before WorldCom. And true enough, at the time of this recording, the S&P 500 is down another 22% from its March highs, around the same time where Burry has tweeted. So the difference between now and 2000 is the passive investing bubble that inflated steadily over the last decade. So all theatres are overcrowded and the only way anyone can get out is by trampling on each other. And still, the door is only so big. So 6 months back, I've also floated the same idea on blindly investing into a broad-based index without understanding its underlying mechanism, and it can be an extremely dangerous endeavour to get yourself into. So what's the difference between that and someone else buying a stock and say that I buy it because Warren Buffett bought into it? It's probably a good food for thought. So just recently, however, Burry actually tweeted on the 21st of September, "China's market are having an America in early 2009 moment. Fear and uncertainty are peaking or close to it, but China is too important to America, 20 times of Russia. America cannot effectively fight or sanction China, so is this the signal for us to go all in into the Chinese market? Hold your horses, my friends. I think there are a few nuances and clarifications that needs to be made before we jump head in." So when we look at Burry's tweet, I think there are multiple layers of implicit assumptions that needs to be deconstructed. So he claims that China's market today is like America in early 2009. And if you were to look back at how the S&P 500 performed back then, they basically bottomed in the March of 2009. And guess what? March of 2009, that's early 2009. And probably why investors are thinking that it's a good time to buy into the Chinese market. So I think there are a few caveats that you have to keep at the back of your mind, just for your own reference. So there is still a raging property problem underneath the entire Chinese economy, and the equilibrium can very well be easily broken anytime. I've seen many desperate commentaries online criticizing how the CCP is being too slow to act and the government's inertia is causing the economy to suffer and basically conducting themselves like NATO. No action, talk only. I think there are a few nuances that needs to be appreciated here. Firstly, what do you think was the cause of this property bubble? So there was a great deal of debate amongst the different Chinese scholars studying this topic. And surprise, surprise, people actually do have conversations and discussions in China. But I think the two largest consensus was because of number one, 资本泛滥, which is by translation meaning that there's an unhealthy flooding of capital and the structural incongruence of the local and central government authorities, which led to improper oversight. So this video is not going to be a documentary studying the causes of this property bubble, but instead, I just wanted to provide some context on why I think the CCP is being extremely cautious with their upcoming policy actions. So for older investors that still remember the 2015 Chinese stock market turbulence that started in around June of 2015, so a third of the value of A shares listed on the Shanghai Stock Exchange was lost within 1 month of the popping of that bubble. And it was largely believed that the stock market bubble in 2015 was propped up by the excessive QE that China has done back in the 2008 Great Financial Crisis. So this probably left an extremely distasteful impression of capital on China today and might explain their inertia to just flood the markets with credits. Besides, I'm sure they are learning a thing or two from their US counterparts in real time today as well. And for the US, if all else fails, they can still print to win. But the same cannot be said for China. So for investors hoping for a quick way out, predicting that hey, China or the CCP will just print and bail investors out, you might want to think again. So the current average investor's profile probably just want a hit and run. So once I earn a certain percentage on this particular Chinese equity, I'm on to my next investment opportunity. But CCP on the other hand is here to continue governing China for the next 100 years. Fingers crossed, I hope. So that's a mismatch in expectations. That said, I'm going to make a prediction here because it's free anyway, talk is cheap, and it's my channel. So I'm predicting that the CCP is not going to deliver drastic stimulus packages unless the whole world is on fire. So if you think that we can really achieve some sort of a soft landing by the US, whatever that even means, then yeah, China will probably continue staying in this limbo. But if all hells break loose, especially the US market, then I'm probably expecting China to pump heavy liquidity in order to mitigate whatever that is happening on the other side of the globe. And they essentially just want to protect their own economy. Now, I think we might also want to clarify the term China's market. So for many international investors, the impression of the Chinese market might be Alibaba, or Tencent, or JD, or Pinduoduo, or NIO, or Xpeng, since they're all listed in the US exchange. But just so you know, there are many other Chinese conglomerates listed in their local exchanges that are worth hundreds of billions of dollars as well. US dollars, by the way, not renminbi. So don't be too obsessed with only tech companies that you hear or know about. Their local stock market is also worth tens of trillions of dollars. So much for capitalism being dead in China, right? So the bottom line is quite simple. It's just buying into great companies and the rest will take care of itself. So Burry also talked about fear and uncertainty peaking in the Chinese market today. So I wouldn't dare make that conclusion, but when you look at it from a relative basis, comparing it to the US markets of today and investor sentiments, I like how YouTubers always love to use this sort of indicator, the fear and greed index, attempting to explain the US market, so I tend to just smile and think about the Chinese market instead. So we haven't really seen fear yet, my friend. Now, the US-China relationship is going to get more tense by the day. And Michael Burry is convinced that America cannot effectively fight or sanction China without impacting itself severely. But I beg to differ. So for one, it's probably not the first time the US is willing to sacrifice itself to a certain degree to incapacitate its rivals. And for two, based on the prisoner's dilemma framework, we can potentially see a scenario where if the US is no longer the leader of the free world, I think the free world can cease to exist. I think this sort of narrative sounds incredibly familiar, doesn't it? I hope future leaders will have the wisdom to navigate this crazy world that we are living in today. With that, I'll see you in the next video, but more importantly, I will see you on the moon. Goodbye!